to the Hyde Park Town Board meeting on September 9th, 2024. Please rise, call to order, and rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of August 12th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. All right, we'd like to see if anyone has any public comments on resolutions in town business only. Time limit of 3 minutes, please. Looks like we good. All right, we have a workshop. Richard Wambach to present the new Town of Hyde Park website and how to navigate through it. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank the supervisor and the town board for authorizing and approving this much-needed redesign project. I appreciate the opportunity this evening to overview the new town page, which was launched September 1st, hydeparkny.us. The town leaders and myself worked very closely during approximately 4-month redesign process with Civic Plus support and design staff, who is our government website provider. The process involved identifying our goals regarding new features and enhancements of content and design, and a thorough wants and needs assessment. Our ideas were brought to life through a series of scheduled remote work sessions and review conferences designed to achieve a successful launch date of September 1st. This collaboration has resulted in greater website functionality as well as a cleaner, easier layout to navigate. We now bring our community and government to users' fingertips in more vivid presentations. Most of the updates have occurred as a result of visual enhancements, sequential improvements to page layouts, and modernization of page design, color coding, searching functions, and functional tools. It's important to note that the back office operation and tools that are being used by our departmental staff to design their portions and update their portions of their pages remains exactly the same. So the interface is very familiar with those individuals already, which is a big plus, which will lend to the efficiencies going forward day to day with changes. We've made a specific effort not to introduce a lot of new information that would have to be absorbed and trained and done. So even though we have a brand new website, the way to update it by the staff is essentially the same. We had two broad goals before I start referring to the demonstration itself. Two broad goals that were achieved. Number one, with such a vibrant community, a main purpose was to highlight more residents engaging in town-sponsored events and participating in more of our community organizations' activities and programs. Number two, with the new construction of our town hall and the focus on ADA compliance and accessibility in the facility design, it was time to bring the website up to the latest worldwide internet ADA compliance standards as well. So the timing is perfect that we have a new town hall and we have a new website, and it's all ADA compliant. If you'll call your attention please to the screen, I've left the home page up here to show that essentially the move my microphone a little bit so I can continue to talk and see that at the same time. One of the best new features is a rotating slideshow, and we've interjected scenes not only just historic buildings, which in the past we've focused on, but we're showing people in action. We're showing activities, parks and rec activities, parades, and this can change very rapidly for the conditions. We can modify things. But basically, to stay on target, I do have myself timed here so I don't miss anything. A very new feature is what we call mega menus. From the top down, under the government tab, now we can visualize in one screen every page and every topic that is performed under the government tab. In the past, we had to scroll because it was one long tab. This is very important for people that want to be able to locate a lot of information that we have available, and it's in alphabetical order. So in general, when we add new things, these topics don't change necessarily, but the contents do. The mega menus appear as drop-downs, and then within each drop-down, I'm just going to go, for example, there's always a government page that goes the next step, and that government page mimics what you just saw on the other screen, and it gives an explanation of each department or each committee or each section within that. And these are all hot linked as well, so that you can go to the correct page from here. There's also a side menu that takes in all of the same topics. So whatever people are familiar with or comfortable with scrolling and used to looking for things, they can find them in multiple places very quickly. I would just like to go to the next group, the departments. Again, the departments are quite extensive. The pages within departments are very extensive. And this helps control seeing in one view everything that's happening. Services is another big feature, and these are kind of in order of priority. The services deal with a number of things, all the way, again, alphabetically. I'm sorry, I'm quite a ways from my computer here. Animal control, for example, you click that, and that goes to the animal control page. It's supposed to. Come on, here we go. Which is embedded in the town clerk section. So here again, this information kind of moves around, and you can see, take some time to review this on your own, because everybody can access what we're looking at today. This is not the back office, this is the interface that everybody can view. Under our community tab, we have many additions. We've been embracing information from many local organizations. For example, the Hyde Park Library, the Statsburg Library, Rotary, Hyde Park Chamber of Commerce, some of the churches and other organizations that have sent us information. We've actually built community pages for them. They will not only be on a page by themselves, but their events will be listed in our town calendar, which I'll get to in a minute. We can also identify certain events that we would like to promote in our news flash from the calendar, and these will show up too. So the final column is FAQs and how do I do things. I just call your attention to keeping in touch. The keeping in touch tab is very important because it will allow you to sign up with your email to receive feeds from the calendar and from many other topics. When you go to this and try to sign up with it, we have a disclaimer here. We're only using your email address for this purpose. It is not used for any other purpose. It's not sold, it's not shared. But it will allow you by email, rather than to have to come to the website to look up the information, you will receive that information in a timely fashion. If it's an event that's a week away, you should receive the email within a few days of the event. If it's a long-term event, it'll send the email closer to the event. So it's very important, I think, that we get out to the public that they can get on this feed very easily, and it makes it a lot simpler for them to get what's coming up without having to go to the website necessarily. Some of the other features in here are we can report a lot of different functions. If you have a question or a problem, there's a question problem, and then there's topics. These are the main topics that are reviewed in the website. And you can click on this and you can send a message. And it will filter to, ultimately to me as a webmaster, if it has something to do with the website. If it has something to do with another issue of a department, it'll go to that department person. So this is actually a very intuitive way to start with our new website. Just let me get back over to the home page quickly. We moved the search device, which is a full-featured search engine that only searches our website. It does not search out on the internet. It is keyed and it is highly sensitive to site mapping of the keywords, any titles and descriptions of any events or forums. If you have any desire to look something up and you put in a couple of words that identifies what you're looking for, you will get a list of topics where that information occurs and the pages, and you can link directly to them. The search engine appears on every page, as well as the top level of information. Want to deal very quickly with the slideshow. We have put up some existing photography. We intend to do more photography at events so that we have an archive of many images that we can put up. We can rotate these at will. We can do seasonal photography and a number of other things. Another important feature which was not available in our previous website is that this space can be a still photo, a slideshow, or a video. We can also post videos, and we've talked with our video people. When they video a parade, they video 4th of July, they video Community Day, we can get a clip from them, embed it on this page, and run it for a period of time. We can schedule these things to be done so that we're ever changing this home page to reflect the current events and the things that are happening constantly. All right, let me slide down here to the new icons. These are the top level icon buttons, which are very popular with people. What we've done is we've picked out some of the more key elements that people have been looking for on the website. It's not a lot different than the previous ones that we had, but it does talk about important notices. The agendas and minutes are right up front. The forms and documents are right there. FOIL requests, things to do, and how to contact us. Let me just click on this first button. When you over mouse it, it changes color, and it'll immediately take you to the important information public hearings page where everything that is going on is added and is currently in the queue here. And each of these goes to a document. So once we have this page open, you can scroll down through it. You can see logically from all the way for each department things that you might need. And then again, this is always a sidebar that takes you to the same pages again if you prefer to do it that way. A secondary to that array is what we call popular links. And this again can change dramatically depending on what we would like to feature. We have taken the topics that were in the previous site. I want to review these topics with the administration and see what we want to add. Typically, these 9 boxes fit the screen beautifully, but I see where we could interchange some of these. We could, bring some more important things to the forefront, and we can even add more boxes. I don't want this to get too lengthy because it might be too cumbersome to go through. But I think this is an area that we will confer with people to find out what is of most interest to them. and perhaps maybe we'll even do a survey at some point to determine what people are using the website for, and try to make these features fit their needs. Latest news. This is a really new feature, a really great feature, because we now have the ability to show multiple flash news items. And if you just look at this very quickly, this is what's happening this week. These are things that are ongoing, and they can be rotated because the news flash can do this. The lead one is obviously the Community Day, which is this coming Saturday. The leaf drop is very popular because people want to know where they can get their leaves. That's going to be up there through the fall. Hyde Park Library is showing features, the food pantry. So these are things that you click here and you can read more about each one. Let's click on this one to see where it goes. It gives more detailed information and the actual posters. And then below it, it shows other ones that are in the queue. So we can build this out. We can schedule stuff to reoccur and change. Those 4 spaces could potentially revolve every couple of days, depending on the kinds of activities that we have. By the way, for the purpose of the board, you do have this script in front of you. There is a note card attached to it. If you have questions, please write them down, and then you can scan them over to me like that. That's our snail mail method. But I figured if you had an idea and you wanted to ask about it, write it down, and we will, take it up later, because our session here is rather short, and I want to cover everything. Okay, let me go back again. We'll start easily at the home page, because there's more yet to look at. Okay, here we go. So now that's latest news. Next strip involves a live Facebook feed. The Facebook page right now, was posted a couple of hours ago, this post. And all you do is scroll down. You never have to leave if you're at the website, you never have to leave the website to look at the Facebook page. It's all there. And this is the feed all the way, it just keeps going. So you can actually go, and if you're looking up something on the calendar, which is right adjacent to it, you have the Facebook page right there, and very easy to use. The new calendar visualizes at least 3 days ahead what's coming up during the week. And each one of these you can click on to get more information. This is the tab for town meetings. We can add 4 tabs. We have, right now we have the events tab, which shows community events and town events, not town meetings. But the town meeting shows all town meetings, planning board, town board, zoning board of appeals, are all available here. And if you go down here and click on the full calendar, you will see an entire array. The calendar itself, which every one of these highlighted dates has a town meeting, and you click there, or you just scroll down and you can see them all. You can navigate back to wherever you were at the bottom of every page. This new array is at the bottom of every page. So by the time you get done scanning, if you want to go forward, you don't have to go back to the home page every time to find what you need next. Coincidentally, this background is basically the stone wall background that we've used in the past, but we can even change that to seasonal background pictures, like if we wanted a fall scene of colored leaves, or we wanted a spring scene of flowers, or we want a blue sky scene for something. We can change those scenes to make it more interesting. And this is where the ability to do this is quite prevalent, and I think it makes a more interesting website. Okay. Now, there are other general features that I would just like to run through with you. Many information sections that are pushing out current notices and events, activities on the website, such as the news feeds, the calendar. They can all be delivered not only by email, but there is also configurations where you can sign up for SMS feeds to have sent to you as a message. And there's also a thing called RSS, which is a, what do they call, a really simple solution. You sign up for that, you download a commercial app for free. You can download it to your computer, to your phone, to your tablet. And the RSS, once you engage it, it will take the same feeds that you might have wanted by email. And if it's more convenient for SMS, or if you're used to using RSS, that is now available as well as the email. The alert widget, we have no alerts, but the alert widget will show up at the very top of every page. And now we've been able to import several alerts, which in the past few weeks we've had that happen. We've had flushing fire hydrants, we've had other alerts for highway construction or storm warning, any number of things. So what we've been able to do now is we can insert other alerts. We can insert changes in meeting venues. For example, I think we had, when the board decided to have the August 12th meeting here in Town Hall instead of at the firehouse, we put up an alert immediately, and it was on every page so that anybody went to the website, they saw that the meeting was going to be here instead of there. So these are the kinds of things that the alert section will be able to do. Multiple. We can schedule these things as well, and be able to remove them quickly so that we don't have outdated material. That happens pretty much with everything. I want to make a special effort to train the staff to remember to put down their start date and their remove date so that we don't have old data kicking around for too long. This is something that we'll work on, and I'm sure it'll be embraced because it's a way to go with this web. All right, the enable anyone to access their government anytime, anywhere. This technology also resizes views for every device. In other words, if you look at this home page now on your cell phone, it's going to arrange everything in a different sequence that's more readable in the vertical aspect of your phone. It also readjusts for tablets because that's also a different format, and it also readjusts for small screen laptops. So you will always see everything that you need to see, but it is presented in that device's platform, which is a tremendous improvement. Before this, you would look at the website on your cell phone, and it would be so small you couldn't read anything. You're just looking at the website. This is actually creating an app for your phone. And if you've seen it, I see a few of you looking at it. It's pretty good. The latest worldwide ADA compliance is now automated by Civic Plus. All of the features that you're seeing here, such as font style, font color, font size, contrasts between color backgrounds and lettering, all of these things comply automatically with ADA. We don't have to go in and tweak anything. There are a few things that we still have to do. For example, when we upload a PDF file, we still have to label it PDF. And that's something that I've got to reiterate with the staff because that is still a requirement of ADA, and there's no way to automate that. When you're uploading a file, we have to change the file name and add PDF in parentheses after it. It's not a big deal. I think most of them are already doing that. Okay, I see I'm a little bit over time, so I will wrap it up. There's a lot more to look at. There's a lot of pages here. It's a wonderful site, and it represents a wonderful town. I just want to say that this is a kinetic site. It's not a static site. It's ever changing and it's ever evolving, and it's always a work in progress. There is nothing that we can't tackle in a time frame to add things, to remove things, to make it better. I encourage you to give me feedback. I encourage anyone in the audience to review it, log yourself in, communicate with us if you see something you'd like to do or add. We're very happy to accommodate that. With the new website, Town of Hyde Park will be able to increase its community engagement and enhance communication between residents and the local government. Town is planning to conduct a staff training session to review new features in greater detail and answer questions and help keep communications flowing. I am available through the supervisor's office to assist at any time, and my email address is on the website for contact. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you,
very much.
Richard.
Thank you, Rich.
Great job.
Thank
Outstanding.
That was a lot of fun, too. Saved town a lot of money.
Yes, sir.
Okay, workshop, item number 2, Belfield, Phase 2B.
I thought I had some colleagues here.
It's on.
Okay. All set?
You're good?
All right, good. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Town Board members, for inviting us here tonight. To my left is Jared O'Connor. My name's Larry Boudreau with Belfield, and of course, Tom Mulroy. With Belfield with us tonight is Jennifer Van Tile with Cutting Fetter. She is our land use attorney for years. She's been great, and I'm going to let her start things off.
Good evening, everyone. I think you all know that Belfield is very special in the sense of being a PUD, and what a PUD is something that's very particular, where no zoning district in the town applies to it. In fact, before a project could go forward in a PUD, the town has to agree on special zoning that depends on the unique circumstances of the site. This town board created such rules for the Belfield PUD on December 20th, 2021. Thereafter, the matter shifted to the planning board, which is heading up seeker review and also gives the usual kind of approvals, site plan, subdivision, etc. But something special about a PUD is that the town board doesn't give up all its authority. The town board reserves authority to supervise the overall PUD and to make adjustments that it believes are just and proper. For example, to approve height variations and any modification of a bulk regulation. These applications don't go to the Zoning Board of Appeals the way they would in a usual case. They come back to the town board. And we were before the town board in the fall of 2022, leading up to the grant of height variations for 6 buildings in Belfield in January of 2022. Now, as it happens, we're back to seek different height variations that would substitute for, I emphasize, not be in addition to the variations that were issued before. And Jared and Larry are going to explain those in detail. Another reservation of the town board's authority is to make adjustments in what is required in the ratio of commercial and residential development. That's a special rule that applies in PUDs. It doesn't apply elsewhere, where 60% of the development can be residential and 40% commercial. Now, you can imagine this rule is enforced by building permits, so that a strict application of the code would say you cannot issue a building permit for a single unit that would skew the ratio of 60-40. But you all know that when we build buildings, a building might have a certain number of residential units in it, or a commercial building might have X thousand square feet. It's hard to keep that balance on a building-by-building basis, especially at the very beginning of a project. So we are here to request the board begin to consider both the height variation that will be described to you in more detail and a very limited and temporary adjustment of the ratio that would not change the overall requirement for the project as a whole and would not change the overall requirement for Phase 2. It would merely vary the application of the strict ratio for what's called Phase 2B. And I think I'm going to turn this over to Larry and Jared now so you'll understand what we're talking about when we say Phase 2B.
Thank you, Jennifer. So this first slide is the CDP Concept Development Plan, which, as Jennifer said, was approved December 20th, 2021, and this set forth the development guidelines for the project.
Just to emphasize, we've given each one of you copies of this PowerPoint presentation, so if you find it difficult to see the screen or want to follow along on your handout, you can do that. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. This set forth the development program, 801 total residential units in a mix, and 830,000 plus square foot of non-residential. So this was the plan that was approved then. 5 neighborhoods, the village, which is what we're speaking about tonight. The hotel is in the bottom right corner there. The Crescent neighborhood will be the second hotel. The Ridge and the Terrace are both residential in nature. And then St. Andrews sits at the corner of Route 9 and St. Andrews. The next slide does show the FDP, or Final Development Plan, of our Phase 2, which we got approved March, as Jennifer said, 15th of 2023. This set forth the development program for the Crescent neighborhood. It includes a mix of residential and commercial, and then of course, as Jennifer mentioned, that's the challenge, to balance that ratio, who comes in first, and then you got to turn them away because you can't get the supporting ratio. So that's been a challenge for us. What the FDP did do is they conditioned the approval to us coming back each time we do a sub-phase. So, as you know, we did come back with sub-phase 2A. 2A, over in the right there are the 12 townhouses, which are currently under AG's review. Once that gets done, then the funding's in place, and then we go. Right now on site, we're getting the stumps out, so we are moving. The next slide does show that in our Phase 2B, we expanded the phase from the original approval to what is shown here right now in that kind of dark green gray color there. What we're doing is we're moving. We have an extraordinary opportunity with a national developer that knows what they're doing. They understand their renters. They know what they want. They've been very successful, and they showed us how to make this successful. And so what we're going to do is we consolidated the Phase 2 residential program entirely into Phase 2B, which is what this is here. So Phase 2B includes the residential program mix, which was approved in the Phase 2 FDP, and we're pulling it all together in the sub-Phase 2B. So those two buildings Jared's pointing to, 100 and 200, will have 312 units. The balance of the 344 will be over the Village Green in buildings 1100 and 1200. To do that, to consolidate it, and there's a couple of methods that this developer uses, and we'll share that in a minute. But they want to make the amenity areas accessible. They want to make garage parking accessible. Right now, as approved, the apartments are 3 stories over a podium deck. A podium deck is, concrete, and then you go wood structure above, in 6 different buildings. So you gotta, somebody could be way at the north end. If they want to get to the amenity area, they got to walk all the way through to get to it. This approach is you don't even have to leave the building itself. You can walk right to the amenity area, covered. So it's all conditioned space. This is what their tenants want. They know it, and they're successful with it. Same thing with the parking. Instead of having a podium deck, we're going to a 5-story interior parking deck that's enclosed totally by the building so you don't see it. That's one of the big objections the planning board has, is looking at parking decks. So on the phase 2, we had to come up with an elaborate method of screening that parking deck. Here, we're wrapping it with buildings, you don't see it. And we have some renderings that show what it looks like. You can skip it if it's not. Oh, there you go. We are, as you know, we've been to the planning board. We presented the project to them July 17th. Again, last month, August 21st, we made a submittal to them September 4th to be back in front of them on September 18th. They have really good comments. We're addressing them. And this slide just demonstrates that we are working with them. We're taking their comments and making the plan better. And there it is as submitted. You can see the 12 townhouses to the right. That's 2A. We're showing the context of the 12 townhouses, the hotel, and then 2600 is the educational building there, and then the rest of it. Part of this phase 2B is the Village Green. We have almost a 1/4 acre of green space there that we wrap both 1100 and 1200, and the specialty restaurant, which is to the west of the Village Green, as Jared is highlighting. We've been working with the town and the developer and us internally on the elevation, and this is the most current elevation that was submitted September 4th. We'll be reviewing it on the 18th. The unique thing that we're doing here, and you can see it, on the west elevation, which is that elevation which is exposed to Route 9, in the courtyard area, we're dropping the building. We're not keeping the 5 stories. So to the right, okay, to the left, the main leasing area, amenity area, we dropped it to 2 stories. So we were at 5, we dropped it to 2. 1 to get the height off of Main Street, and 2 to get the views out from the buildings, which we shaded in the back. They get out. On the right, the courtyard there, we went from 5 to 4. And that does, along Main Street, reduce the average grade, which is the way you measure height in Hyde Park. And here we're showing a comparison of buildings 100 and 200. And again, buildings 100 and 200 are the subject of the height modification request.
Sorry, there was a slight change in the documents you have, so skip forward maybe 2 or 3 pages and you should see this one.
Okay. Okay. So this compares what we're proposing to what was approved. What was approved is on the bottom. What we did on the bottom, that's buildings 100 and 200, and then the building to the left is 1400. We took that footprint and essentially put 100, the proposed 100 and 200 on top of that, and it is a little bit longer, and you can see, you know, that it does go a little bit further to the right. But that's the idea, to keep this building within that footprint. That allows us to remove buildings 3, 4, 5, and 6. We remove those buildings, remove impervious surface, we remove disturbance, rock removal. It's such a, as soon as this was presented to us, we knew right away this was the right approach for this site. What this shows is the approved 100, 200, and 1400 plan with what we proposed behind it. So you can see the relative height difference. This is a view on the west side of Village Green looking east. And you can see the courtyard to the, there it is right there, how that drops down to 2 stories. And then everything to the right would be 5. But again, that's a 1/4 acre size. So that's a nice size for Village Green. And this will show you how the garage is wrapped by the building, so you can kind of see how you don't even know it's there. And that's 356 parking spaces in that one area. And then the courtyard to the right or to the south, and then the courtyard to the left or the north.
Landscaping that was added.
Yep, landscaping that was added all through there. And you can see the 4-story section there, and then it bumps up to 5, and then it wraps around the back 5, and then on the northeast corner, when you look at the elevations, it bumps up to 4 because of rock, and then back down to 5. So the average grade, when it's looked at, it's looking at the whole perimeter, and it, you know, it gets reduced in height because we vary the floor heights. In your package are 2 sections. Jared, can you go down just so they see where the sections are cut? One is cut through the north courtyard, through the Village Green area, through building 1300 and out to Route 9. And everything to the left of the entrance road coming in right there, that's all existing vegetation that will remain. The other section is cut through the middle of the south courtyard, and that goes right through wetland areas that we've saved a lot of trees there, and then goes right into the middle of the entrance coming in. So when you look back at it, you can kind of see what's going on. The top elevation shows building 1300. That really kind of controls the line of sight on that section. We assumed that the trees, even though they're there, that they were in a leaf-off condition, that you'd be able to see right through it. Your line of sight would be blocked by building 1300, and it would shoot up above the building. That's in this section. There's other sections we can provide you if you'd like to see them. The bottom section, that's a heavily vegetated wetland area. That one we kept there. That line of sight is line of sight from a car coming in, and that's what you'll see. You'll see the top part of the building.
And that's 772 feet from the road.
So this is a summary, again, it's in your packet there. What, under the Belfield PUD, the allowable height's 46 feet for these uses. We had it approved. Jennifer, when did we get that?
January 2023.
Okay, January 2023. And there are the approved heights. What we were doing there, we weren't changing the, it was a podium with 3 stories above. The roof lines were varying, and so we needed some relief on the height, with the highest one being 53 feet. And then we're showing on buildings 100, 200, what we're proposing is 65 feet 4 inches, you know, max. We're still working on the elevations. We're confident that we'll be able to hold that or go down. But what's interesting is you can look at the 100 and 200. If you look at that alone, that drops about, 7 feet below what the average grade would be around the building, because we're dropping those floors. All the others are unchanged. 1100, 1200 are as approved. 1300 is as approved. Same thing with, that's really 2600. Yeah.
So again, just to emphasize, these variations that are requested now are instead of, rather than in addition to, the variances previously, because most of those buildings are being eliminated to avoid the grading that would be necessary to build them.
What this shows here, again, from a development summary, Jared, can you zoom in a little bit? Is that with this 2B, we'll be at 356 on the residential count, and we're allowed, as I said previously, 801, so the remaining would be 445. On the commercial side, we're allowed a little over 830,000. With 2B, we'll be at the 261 there, and we'll have 568K left. And I'm going to skip this, Jared.
Yeah, it's just a more detail on the development summary and some of the benefits that this provides.
On the ratios are figured by square footages, so we've carried the square footage for the residential and the commercial. You add them up, get a denominator, and then you apply the numerator for the residential and the non-residential. And so for 2B as is, can you zoom in there a little bit? Yeah, so 2B as is, just the development program within 2B, including 2600, which we increased in size from the FDP approval of 40,000. We're up to 120,000, which is fully in line with the CDP. You get used to all these acronyms. You keep saying them so much. We're at 68 and 32. When you add back in the hotel and 2A, the 12 townhouses, then that ratio gets to 59-41, so we're close. We're not at 60-40, we're close. And as Jennifer said, we're going to be 60-40 when we're done. It's just balancing how to get there. So I've asked Jared to get with the developer we're working with. It's Bazzuto Development. I know them because they're working on a project that I did over in Plymouth, Mass, Pine Hills, 3,000 acre development. They developed there. So and Tom knows them too, and they have a lot of experience working in mixed-use projects, and of course Pine Hill is a testimony to it. In fact, their project in Pine Hill sits on the village green, similar to what they will do here in Belfield.
So in your packet, we've included some slides to provide a background on Bozzuto, give you a little bit more information on them. At a high level, the company was founded in 1988. They're family owned and operated. They speak to that their mission is to create sanctuary for their residents, and you'll see that in a lot of the design choices that they've made. Another interesting fact about them is the vertical integration that they have as a developer. So they go and are able to do the design and the development stage as well as the construction, and then as they then take on the management component of that as well. So they are very experienced through all levels of the development, and they have experience, all throughout the East Coast, some in the Midwest, and then also a little bit over on the West Coast. In our experience in working with them, the approach they bring is the one Bozzuto team. So in helping us with our project, we have experienced members of their development team, their marketing team, their construction team. Everyone's been involved in helping create the design that you see in front of you. And we're really excited to bring that to the next level. So to give you a sense of some of the projects they've done and how...
Just to point out also, they're not bringing their construction group up here. They're going to be using a local, whether it's PC or the Chase or something like that. They do build their own too, but in this location, they don't have the experience, so they are going to use local groups up here.
Right. But their construction team does give guidance to their team and us as we're going through the design phase, which helps, as you can imagine. And then just also in the back, we have various projects for you to reference. Rowan at Pine Hills is an example that Larry was just speaking to, that he had his experience developing this site in its early days. And members of our team have visited here. It's very well done, very beautiful site. And then also we've included other examples, Chevy Chase Lake. You can see they have the kind of surrounding courtyard similar to what we're proposing. This has more of a European plaza feel. Ours is more obviously the aggregate concept, and will reflect that. As you can see how they've, some of the amenity choices they make for the residences. And then we have a few more in here, just highlighting, the quality of experience that they've been able to build for these communities, each having a different look and feel that reflects the locale that they're in and what their residents and community members are interested in. And with that, I think that's
with
all
that,
we
we
have.
turn it over to...
Turn it back to Jennifer.
So we know we've given you a lot of information tonight, and we thought it was very important to introduce the project to you. This has, as Larry mentioned, been before the planning board for several months, and the PUD process at this stage is a well-defined, a process that demands some collegiality and balance between the town board and the planning board, because the planning board is now working on reviewing the site plan and reviewing seeker. But your board at the same time has to go through certain steps to review the requests that we've made, and those include referring it to the planning board, so the planning board can make a recommendation to you. The planning board certainly will. They did the last time, and they would be making a recommendation to you on both of the requests that we've made. The decision, however, is solely up to you. The requests also have to be referred to the County Department of Planning, as you did the last time. And lastly, a public hearing has to be held. It's probably appropriate that the public hearing would await some further development of the design, but we think that at this point, if the board would like to move forward to next steps, it would be appropriate to refer the matter to the planning board, the town planning board, so that they're aware that there has been coordination. We've informed the planning board at the 2 meetings that we've had with them that we were going to be appearing before you to acquaint you with the requests, so that you can ask any questions. And I know you have a busy agenda tonight, but we would be happy to answer any questions that you have now and throughout the review. But we're anxious to move forward. We think that Bizzuto is a very worthy partner and someone who could bring a very desirable type of housing to Hyde Park. Think of how nice it would be not to have to carry groceries in the sleet and snow, but be able to pull into a garage and walk to your apartment. So with that, we would ask you to consider moving forward when you're comfortable doing so, and we're happy to answer any questions you have tonight.
Does any board members have any questions?
I do, very briefly. Although I don't understand all the acronyms
Right.
you folks use, it's a lot of information, but from what I took from this, the reason for the change is, number one, aesthetic or site alignment between a front and a rear building. And because you're losing the height of the building, you're going down, is the reason you want to expand. And another factor coming into that is the terrain in which the building's being placed on. Are those the three elements that we're considering for the change?
The terrain, we actually, from the FDP, moved it south where it's flatter. We're getting it out of the rock because that whole east side
Yes.
is rock. You know, so that's one of the reasons.
Okay.
What were the other two?
I thought you were lowering a front building for an aesthetic or a site
Yes,
alignment
correct.
reasoning, so that's why you were dropping the floors down.
Yep, it gets the, which Bizzuto loved the idea, the interior units in the courtyard views out, sunsetting, that kind of thing.
So you're making that up by moving out, so you're dropping the height down.
Going higher.
Well, you're dropping the center floors down.
Around the perimeter.
Right,
Around the perimeter.
those are going up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's 5, so we're 4, 5, 4, 2, and we worked months on this to balance it. This is what we came up with.
And I think we could mention one other factor, and that is to make things more convenient and more centered for everyone in the project. As Larry said, in the original design, although we thought it had many good qualities, if you lived in one of the northern buildings, you would have to walk quite a distance to come down to that little building, was it 1400?
1400.
Which was the community building. So that's where the pool was going to be, that's where the
Yeah.
community recreation
Yeah.
would be. And by having more of the rental units in one place, all of those amenities are much closer to everyone. I think if you also look at the plan view, the buildings 100 and 200 have been placed right at that very, very important intersection, which is when you come in the main entrance, come up the hill on Farmers Way to that main intersection with Main Street, you see something that has mass. It's something that we want to have. It's very interesting in its various heights, and it also really calls out the village square, right? We now have buildings on 4 sides of it. We have 2 buildings that have retail on the ground floor and residential above. And we have, of course, the specialty restaurant closest to Route 9. So it's going to be a place that's very active. So there'll be no loss in the buzz of Main Street, we don't believe. But we think that there's going to be more there when you arrive. And we think that this will be something that planning-wise complements the size of the hotel and what is planned for the institutional non-residential use in building 2400. So back at the time in 2005 and 6 when the project was originally planned, it was always the ideal that the building would start in the southwest corner and that would be the center and things would go out from there. And so we think that this design, which we didn't conceive of before because we didn't have the opportunity to execute it, actually delivers a much better plan that puts the there at the southwest entrance as at the gateway to the town of Hyde Park, which the Belfield property and the Culinary Institute property were always intended to create together.
And your business and residential at this point is only off by 1%, and you feel that'll be easily rectified?
Yes, but
Yes.
but the business about the ratio is that this balance is judged by building permit and so I don't know how it would be applied, but I would assume that building permit for X hundred residential units, each time a new unit comes in, it has to be balanced. Well, we have someone effectively ready to go on that large residential building, and while we have great plans and a beautiful design, which we didn't show you tonight, but we will be showing you, that will balance it, and it's part of Phase 2B. It's not off in some yonder, but we would like to get the residential units in. They help attract commercial development. That's what Belfield has found in its marketing efforts. And we think that, especially at the very beginning of the project, it makes sense to allow a temporary variation. Again, we're not asking for a blanket variation to the end. We're not even asking it for all of Phase 2. We're only asking it for 2B, and we're only asking it to allow us to build 100, 200, and then the 2 partially residential and partially commercial. In other words, to finish the Village Square area.
Thank you.
Jennifer, procedurally, obviously, we've got to refer this back to the planning board. Does it make sense to wait on referring it to county until we hear back from them?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, and the county likes to see a really detailed and complete design when they receive it, or else they might say it's not a complete referral. So I think that makes sense to refer it to the planning board, and the planning board understands. No one's trying to pressure them, rush them, or whatever. They recognize that both boards are involved, so I think that would be the appropriate thing to do.
Okay.
And the planning board has to submit to the county planner too. They should be close.
Yep, that makes
Right,
sense.
so both things would be at the planning board
Right.
at the same time, as it happened the last time.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. So the only thing we're doing tonight is we'll take a motion, second, vote to refer it back to the planning board.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? No? We're good?
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
You want to take a vote?
Yeah, I would take a
I'd
vote.
like to take a vote on it. Unless
Just
you
to
want
refer, we'll do the vote. I'd like to vote on the referral.
We'd like to vote to refer it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, like take a motion to refer the, this plan back to the planning board for their review and comment.
Aye.
Thank you, Mark. Second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prusakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Terrific.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Hyde Park Schools?
Good evening.
Okay, guys, you're up.
Good to go. So good evening. We're here to present nothing formally, more of an informational session on behalf of the school district. By way of introduction, my name is Terry Gyrie. I head up Honeywell's public sector energy team for New York State.
And I'm Justin Benoit. I'm with Energia. We are the district's consultant on the energy project, working with Honeywell as well.
Could you guys pull your mics a little closer?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
So the school district had issued an RFP back in May to do an energy conservation project that a number of different energy service companies had bid on. We were formally, and as Justin said, he is their architect engineer of record who was hired by the school district to evaluate the responses and help the district make a formal selection on an energy company to move forward. We were formally selected by the school board at the end of June. And so over the last few months, we've been embarking on a comprehensive energy audit to develop a final contract for the district. What does that include? The contract is for energy conservation measures, mechanical equipment replacements, lighting, a building automation system, and then what brings us here today is they also had us look at renewables, in particular solar. So they have a wonderful opportunity given a few things that are in play right now. The federal government recently enacted the Inflation Reduction Act, which now pays public entities, for those that own solar equipment, a one-time direct payment. That's a pretty significant percentage of the cost. It's this was to give public entities the opportunity that existed for years for private entities via the investment tax credit. So if you put solar on your house, you were able to take a credit on your federal tax return. Public entities had no means of getting a benefit there because they didn't file federal taxes. Now they get the benefit through a one-time direct payment.
So we're going to get a reduction in our school tax? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, no, but what you're not, and that is it's a great point. The essence of the program is to find a way to pay for the necessary capital upgrades in the district without going to the tax base, without raising another bond and having an increase in taxes pay for the work. The beauty here is that not only will we find a way to do that, but many of the components of this job are also aidable. Every school district in New York has a different aid ratio. So when you factor in, we've got enough energy savings to pay for the work. They also receive state aid dollars that actually generates a positive cash flow for the district. So it's a way for them to really get a lot of needed capital improvement items done, again, without going to the tax base. The solar piece, the goal here is we believe we easily have a path to wipe out the district's current electrical spend by putting a roof-mounted system at their high school. They just installed a new roof recently, so it's a perfect application to now install a roof-mounted solar system on top. And they have a parcel of land right next to the high school that's a perfect candidate for a ground mount system. The ground mount system would be sized appropriately after all the other energy measures have been designed, along with the roof mounted system. So we'll know exactly what is left to wipe out, to eliminate their electrical spend. So think about that, their electrical spend over all of their buildings. If it's $1 million with Central Hudson, we've got a path that can eliminate that in its entirety. That size system will be roughly like a megawatt. That design is going on right now to formalize that. So it's a very small area of that lot. That is the area where I know I had sent an email out. I think Joe Arioli has a copy of that to show you the location of where we're planning to put the ground mount system. Plenty of trees would be left so that there would be no way to even see it. The road that I think crosses behind it is South Cross Road, is the only public road that cuts behind that parcel of land. So it's entirely, again, for district use, to wipe out their electrical spend, find a way to get their boilers replaced, their lighting replaced, without going to the tax base and raising another bond. The state education department is the permitting authority for any work that we do for school districts. With recent ground mount, kind of the surge in solar, they've kind of informally asked us to check in with the town when we do these projects. There is no formal requirement from their perspective, but when we send the designs, the drawings and specifications, the secret review and all that to the state department for their final review and permitting, they will ask, hey, is the town aware of it? So again, I think in speaking with Joe, he had even drafted a resolution that would exempt the district from your particular process if it was a private or a commercial entity, seeking, a ground mount system. That's not even necessarily required. And I think Joe had told me through email, hey, let's pause on that, just get in front of the town board, let them know what the project is about, where it's going, and field their questions, and go from there. So,
Yeah, at this point, we're not prepared with a resolution this evening.
Understood.
I think because when I met with Joe earlier, the suggestion was to just give the presentation, maybe
Yep.
give us an opportunity and everybody to answer any questions that might be had on this thing before making a determination on how to proceed.
agree 100%. Yep.
So let me get some clarity. We're talking about one location, you're talking about FDR by itself for the roof and grass area?
Correct.
And
That's it.
And that location will generate enough power to subsidize the other additional schools, or just that school itself?
Great question. So the entire district, the way the tariff works now, it's more advantageous, for the solar to be connected to the grid ahead of the meter. So it doesn't get connected behind the meter, which was the traditional way for solar systems. They'd always go and send the electricity back into the building. Over the last few years, the tariff has changed, and it provides a more lucrative, it's basically a monetary credit to the district that goes against their bill. So we would combine the roof-mounted system at the high school, the ground mount system, which is right there, into one interconnection, and there's an interconnection process with Central Hudson, and that would generate enough monetary credit that could be applied to every single electric account that the district has for any of their buildings to wipe out the balance of their spend.
So in your calculations, I know that the school district is in the process of buying 10 or 12 electric buses. Is that electric supposed to cover the cost of them to energize them buses also?
It's a great question. So we normally try to build in, because the life expectancy of this system is 25, 30 years. So you try to factor in some overbuild to account for buses is a great example, right? They're going, there's a mandate.
It shouldn't be a great example. They're
It's a reality.
they're in contract to buy them, or they're getting
Agreed.
a whole bunch of them. So I would think that would be in the mix
Agreed.
That was one of the questions.
Because another perfect example is a lot of districts, and we're going to find out here, as they're adding air conditioning to buildings, which becomes more prevalent these days. What is that? That's an additional electric load for those buildings. So we want to understand, what electric projects, in addition to the buses, that are happening in the near term, and we will size for that. What you don't want to do, I can continue to oversize. There's plenty of room there. But ultimately, you would have monetary credits that can't be applied against any bill. And so this benefits the developer. That's it. It's no benefit to the district. So you want to be careful to properly size the system so that all of that monetary credit that comes from Central Hudson, you actually have a bill or a cost to wipe it out.
No, I understand that,
So-
but wouldn't it be premature to say that you're here now by not doing the calculations first? Because the question is, in my eyes, you're going to use the roof and a majority of all the ground space that's outside. So without knowing the calculations first to know how much ground space you need, why would you be here? That's the question. To kind of you would kind of do the calculations first and then give us an overall map so you can come and say, hey, all that green space to the north, that's all solar, or that's 20% solar. Right now, we wouldn't even have an idea of how much space you're using, correct?
No, we do. So we've done probably 80% of the engineering, and it's a very small percentage of that space that will be solar in order to accomplish wiping out their electric spend. Like I said, there's a drawing that was in an email chain with Joe and others.
I don't know.
I didn't provide it. I don't know
okay.
if Joe had provided it.
Yeah, we don't have it, okay.
But great question. The engineering is, like I said, almost complete, and it's a very small section of that green area. And I could tell you that with confidence that at this point it's plus or minus probably 10%. We're finishing up the electrical conservation measures in the buildings first, because we're gonna bring down their load with lighting retrofits, mechanical retrofits. We're putting in a building automation system district-wide. So you do that first, you see how far you can take their electrical usage down. Then second, we designed the roof-mounted system at the high school, because that's an easy one to maximize the entire footprint, staying within New York State building code for, the equipment that's up there and, an edge of roof setbacks, and then you know what you got left. So
Gotcha.
I'm very confident we know within plus or minus 10% what that ground mount size is, and it's a very small area where I can say you would never even see it from South Cross Road or, and it's just, so I'm not really 100% sure what the ask is, other than the state ed department, who's the permitting body, just because this recent surge of solar, because the Inflation Reduction Act and these tariffs have changed, which are really lucrative for public entities.
No, we understand. We have Richard Maddox. Richard Maddox is on our Smart
Oh.
Climate Committee, and he's kind of our representative that keeps us abreast of all that, so we got a good understanding.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, we do, I not only cover public K through 12, but a lot of entities like yourself, where if they've got open parcels, it's a tremendous economic return, but,
Gotcha.
so the state ed department, literally, they are the permitting body. I don't think, like, Joe didn't have any disagreement with that.
Mhm.
And I said, I don't really need a formal resolution, other than I want to be able to say to them that we had reached out. I reached out through, I think the district had contacted Kathleen Moss.
Yep, and zoning, yep.
And that's how it started. And so even Kathleen had said, hey, in an email, that we recognize the state ed department as the permitting authority here. Do you need anything else? And she had dialed in Joe. I said, she had said maybe we could even pass a resolution. I said, again, I don't think the state department requires that, but I think it's the right thing to give you a heads up of what we're doing. If you truly had any sort of, and I think this is their intent, if there was some reason that we're missing something, that, a true concern, that we want to address that. But the intent was not to go through your normal
Mhm.
planning and zoning process. We go through that with the state ed department, but
Gotcha.
we want to do the right thing, by the town and the district, and so they asked us to come here on their behalf,
Understood.
and we would do, certainly when the drawings are done, we would share that with you. We have no issues with that, and
So
like I said,
I'm looking at the picture, and it looks like, that, I wish Tad had sent this out, but it looks like that's the area there.
Yep.
So it's just
Yeah.
that circled area right
Yep.
there. Is what-
yeah, the red circled area.
Yeah, and that's a blow up of where the panels would be.
They'll
Gotcha.
go into the woods.
Yeah. All right, so,
Okay.
So two brief questions. The money supplied for installation, does that cover general maintenance also on the system?
It can. Now, there's not that's up to the district. So the district owns the equipment, which entitles them to that Inflation Reduction Act direct payment, which is 30% of the cost. Maintenance is incredibly low. For the ground mount system, they would probably trim back any grass, do general landscaping. Panels are tilted at the right angle, so you've got general, melt to get off soil and snow.
For the ground mount system, does the cost cover any sort of perimeter security or fencing or anything to protect those?
Correct. That's part of the New York State Building Code, so there will be fencing. Yeah.
Okay.
And SED will do the erosion control, and they'll monitor the drainage that you're going to run.
We've got to do a
back
general SECRA study and submit to
Yeah.
them a
You
SECRA
do that.
resolution. We've got to do a geotech analysis on the soil, because that determines then the proper racking system for the panels. Determines the size and depth of the posting and all that. So all of that is part of the state
there.
ed
Put
department.
12-foot fences in there, right?
Put the beautiful fence. No.
Richard,
It
you
is a
aware of
high
this
school.
project, Richard? You aware of this project that we're discussing?
Yes.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Like I said, a wonderful opportunity for the district, the way the tariffs are set up now.
Most definitely.
And there is still a chance that, which is the troubling part, we've got to submit to Central Hudson, the interconnect application. You could do all this work and submit to them, and they could say that their grid in this particular area is oversaturated with renewables and get denied because their maps are pretty far behind. So you'd like to think that you could get that answer ahead of time before you do all that engineering work, but fortunately it doesn't work that way. I think we're fine. We've been pretty successful, in the utilities in this area where they're not to the point where they can't take more renewable. That's why they have this lucrative solar tap. They're encouraging more renewable into their grid before they have to develop new, power generating stations, which cost an ungodly amount of money. So,
All right, so
Thank you.
so you don't need a resolution from us, is what you're saying, right? You're just
if you're, like I said, no, I do not. So I can tell the state department we sat with the town board. We can share with you final drawings. It'll be very similar to.
That would be great. I'm sure the board would be interested in seeing the final drawings and everything else. Just to keep the board posted along the way would be I'm sure very appreciative. But I
we will absolutely do that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you in terms of the process.
Perfect.
Thank you,
We'll
gentlemen.
definitely share the drawings with you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Still wish you could lower the school taxes.
Can't go on record and say. Thank you. Can I say let's go Jets? Is that allowed?
Yeah, you'd be okay.
Okay, who's next?
Okay,
Grounded?
public
Yeah.
hearing for special permit review of the application of grounded dispensary. I have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved?
A second?
Second.
Will the clerk take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine,
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda,
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi,
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski,
Aye.
and Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Will the clerk read the public hearing notice?
Notice of public hearing, Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park. Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park shall hold a public hearing on Monday, September 9th, 2024, at 6:05 p.m. at the Hyde Park Town Hall, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, for the special use permit review of the application of grounded dispensary. Any person desiring to be heard on said application shall be provided with an opportunity to do so at the public hearing. By the order of the Town Board, dated August 13th, 2024, Hyde Park, New York, Sarah Holman, Town Clerk.
Were there any public comments? Did the clerk receive any public comments?
No.
Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Okay, this one we had to take a vote at the next meeting.
We'll get a resolution together.
We'll get a resolution and take the vote in the next meeting. Is that okay? We don't have a resolution prepared.
You're still before the planning board?
We just got finished.
Okay, perfect. All right, sounds good.
You're going for your building application and moving forward?
We can't move forward until you guys give us the special use permit.
Can't move forward with who?
With the building department.
Building department will not move forward until you guys approve the special use permit, so I don't see any reason for it to not be voted on this evening.
Well,
We've been in this for over a year, and this is the last final condition on the site plan for everything to be completed.
Was no resolution to vote on, right?
No, nobody prepared a resolution due to the fact that we didn't have the conditions.
Okay. All right, we'll have to prepare the resolution, so this way we can vote on it at the next meeting.
So you're gonna make us wait until the next meeting? Can a resolution be prepared and voted on this evening?
No?
Any particular reason?
Yes, the resolution isn't something that you could just like type up and put together tonight. It actually is something a bit more involved. It's a document that sort of lays out everything the board's considered, the history, the procedure, any conditions that may be imposed on the actual approval. And so without that document being prepared, we can't move forward without it.
Is there something that can be done to get our building permit to move forward? We don't have realistically the time or the money to continue waiting for any more approvals beyond this evening. The special use permit was reviewed and deemed complete and sufficient by all parties involved. All this is a formality of saying that the special use permit is approved. We were told also by Supervisor and Kyle at the previous town board meeting in July, I believe it was, that this would be the final meeting we would have to deal with. Open, close, and special use permit.
I apologize for that, but I've been sick for the last couple of weeks, and usually at the attorney-client meeting, we go over a lot of this stuff and fine-tune it, and I wasn't here, and it wasn't done, so that's how we got in this predicament tonight. I apologize, but...
Yeah, and I think there was some confusion as to where you guys were in terms of the planning board process.
We knew that when Victoria had the resolution written, but Michael didn't have an opportunity to look at it. Remember, they bumped you?
The last planning board meeting was over a month ago that we were approved.
When was the one that they had a problem with? Remember?
There was
he hadn't read it yet.
They opened the public hearing, closed the public hearing, signed the resolution the same night that we had our conditional approval. We have all the conditions met except for the special use permit.
Yeah, we didn't get anything from the planning board either.
I know, that's why it's a bit confusing. I didn't get anything from the planning board, and I don't either as to.
I mean, we really cannot keep waiting on this.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for
Technically,
discussion.
Attorney-client.
Attorney-client,
Attorney-client.
sorry. Excuse us a minute.
So what we're going to do is, it's very likely that, although can't guarantee it, it's very likely the town
Are we
board's...
gonna go back on record first?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well,
Okay.
we're not, we just, it was attorney-client, so we never voted to go out.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's very likely what's going to end up happening is we're going to need to handle some other business by a special meeting within the next couple of weeks. That'll be the time when we can revisit taking up the resolution. We'll have something prepared by then, but we do need to have it in writing because there's some conditions and some issues that we need to make sure in the special use permit that we just can't do on the fly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Where's my cheat sheet? This is for the building.
The public hearing was closed?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, we did that.
Yes.
Okay, petition for amendments on, no, that's a different one.
Over here, Al, petition for the amendments on the text.
Yeah, wanna,
Up in the corner.
okay. The petition for the amendments to the text of the Hyde Park zoning law.
Good evening. Michael Zarin, Zarin Steinmetz. I'm the counsel for NRI on the project. With me is, you may know, Lou Dorso, the project manager from NRI, and Joe McEwen from Labella. So good to be back, and John, glad to see you feeling well. And
Thank you.
back. So if I could, I'll try to go through this pretty quick, an outline of sort of, I don't think we've ever really pulled together. This application, it's mainly been to send back to the planning board. It's gone back twice, as you know, to the planning board for referrals and to the county. So there's obviously a resolution before you on the adoption of the zoning text amendment to create the definition of the St. Andrews Lodging Facility Villa in lieu of the 65-35 cap on the amount of time an owner can occupy or reside in one of the villas. I just want to make clear for some of you that may not be aware, and I won't get too much into the weeds in this. I know it's been before you somewhat, and people have talked to you, that the 65-35 requirement is not in the code. The reason that emerged, that was a zoning interpretation, because there is no definition in the Hyde Park Code of transient. So the zoning administrator came up with the 65-35, which we agreed to. Be perfectly, transparent, and we went on that basis for a long time. And I think I've apologized before for having to come to you the last minute, but the way it works with our investors, and just so you know, we have NRI, not we. NRI has $19 million of equity in this project so far, just pretty substantial investment. Our lenders would not look at the final conditions until we had conditional site plan approval from the planning board. We had 42 conditions, and 41 of those conditions were fine, and we've almost satisfied them all already. And one of the things I'm going to get into a little bit later is our timing here. But the one condition now, one of the main conditions is this issue before you all, and that we have to resolve. I know another issue has come up recently in the discussion of our resolution, and that's the tax assessment on the project. So while respectfully, that's a completely separate issue, and I implore you to please understand that. I think you probably do. It's pretty straightforward, that the resolution before you has nothing to do with the tax assessment that I'll get into a little bit, because I know it's an issue that some people have raised and are concerned about legitimately, and I'll address that tonight. But these are two completely separate issues, and the timing in our resolution is critical. And I'll explain the date so you don't think that's just another developer coming before you pontificating everything needs to be done yesterday. It's been a couple of months since we've made this application, and I assume you've all had an opportunity to review it. Again, this amendment is not changing anything about the leasehold villas. They will continue to be transient. The language that you've received under the revised petition was prepared by and with the planning board. After they gave us the issues, we referred it to them and took back some of the issues that you had raised and they had raised, and the language that we brought back to you after the referral was the language that the planning board had helped us prepare and they were comfortable with. And this in no way changes anything about the project. Instead of having a 65-35, the planning board was comfortable with it that a villa cannot be used for primary residence. Primary residence is an IRS-defined term. It means that the residence where you spend most of your time, and there's all types of regulations in the IRS that are based on that definition of primary residence. So the planning board was comfortable, as well as the county. The county, the first time, also said, we're not comfortable with the resolution as we initially sent it to you all, proposed it to you, and the county came back with a, withdrew their opposition and came back with it was a local matter, with the planning board also came back with a positive referral. So if the language that's in front of you cannot be a primary residence, it must be in the rental program for any time it's not occupied. These will only impact the SAD district, the district that primarily includes the Culinary Institute. It includes one other area, or really two parcels, and we did in our, you had also asked us to do a full environmental impact statement. We did that and looked and submitted it to you. That looked at the other parcels that it would affect and why they would not be subject to this and would probably not ever have to take advantage of it. The other thing that we included in the regulations or in the zoning was that it must be taxable as part of the hotel. That came frankly from you all, who said, look, we want to make sure that your villas and this project is put back on the tax roll. This has not been on the tax roll for how many decades? It's been generating zero. There was a proposal that was a hotel approved by the town in 2011, but for financial and other reasons, never came to fruition. This will be the first time that this project generates money. And to, I think, your earlier comment about bring us something that lowers school taxes, well, this, even with the pilot, would be $16 million of school taxes, even under the pilot over the 15 years, and not generate one child. That's another thing about primary residence. You can't have children. So enforcement has been an issue on this, and we've made presentations to the planning board as well as yourselves in our written submissions. But I just want to emphasize that NRI will have a facility manager that runs the project, and they will vigorously enforce this. And why? Because the rental income from these villas are a major part of the revenue and the pro formas and the success of this project. These types of hospitality projects rely on rental revenue, and so it's very important to the project that these be rented for a substantial period of time. We will keep records like the IRS does of when they're being occupied by the owners and ensuring that they're in the rental program. And if we see trends where there's a low rental rate, we will do exactly what the IRS does. We will go and we will get the type of indicia and evidence that the IRS does in these situations. Look at their driver's license, look at their tax reports, and see where they're using, where they report it, and alike. And These will all be conditions of their ground leases and what we call the declaration of covenants that we enter with everyone. And if they are not, if this is not being complied with, because it will be a zoning violation, we will call defaults under those agreements, and we will have the right to evict. That's one of the areas that when we have leases, as opposed to selling it to people, we have the right under a lease, just like that's why CIA wanted a ground lease to us. So we will have a very vigorous enforcement program, and typically what happens, and we will reserve full rights and remedies to enforce that. Typically what happens is a practical matter, a villa lender, a construction lender will come in and intervene and cure it because they have a mortgage on the leasehold interest. So the lender who will be lending to construct the villa will, per all our agreements, will cure any type of violation. So we would ask you to consider this. It's been vetted pretty vigorously by, I know, your staff, some of your people. We've gotten feedback. It's been twice re-referred to the county board and the planning board. I know that it was very important for you all to get a planning board recommendation, and we got one, a positive one, and that's because they wrote it. So I'll get into it a little later on, but the timing of this resolution is critical, and I'll explain why. But before I do that, I know there's been some questions that people have raised about how these will get valued for tax assessment purposes, and perhaps in connection with potentially a pilot. So I do want to address that, because I know even though they're unrelated, they have this, the amendment that's before you will have absolutely no impact on this. The way it works is and many of you might know this already, but the county will do a pilot, and they'll do a percentage of the value, the assessed value. They'll say, okay, your pilot is the first year, you pay 50% of your value assessment. Then 50, 50, 50, then you pay 60%, 70%, 75, 80, 85, 90, until you get to pay 100% of your assessment. But the entity that does the assessment is your tax assessor. The IDA doesn't do that, we don't do that. And the tax assessor has not assessed this yet. And you probably know better than I do, there was a period of transition they've been in, the tax assessor. We have, and people up here can tell that, we've been inquiring and trying to get meetings with, when the tax assessor was there to talk about the methodology. As far as we're concerned, and I think this is very important, that the methodology from our point of view, all our hospitality assets that NRI does, the methodology for assessment is based on the cost of construction, on new construction, and the investment. And that's what's in our IDA application. And that's what we put in our IDA application. Some people have questioned whether, well, maybe it is an interrelationship. Are you going to suggest that valuation should be based on the income or revenue that the resort is generating? And we've made clear to everybody that's not how we do it. That's not how your tax assessor is going to do it. They do it on market value, especially on new construction. We don't want these valued as single-family residences, so these will be illegal. It's part of the resort. We made sure in the zoning that these were taxed as part of the resort. The zoning says they must be subordinate to the resort, to the hotel. So these will be based, and these will be taxed as on the investment, on the new investment, on the construction. But again, that's your tax assessor will come up with that. That's how the 10-year Belfield pilot is being assessed. That's how all our applications are. We have never, ever suggested in any way that it should be based on income or based on revenue. And we're willing to work with the town assessor and yourselves and sign an agreement of this would be the methodology, and we would agree on the methodology in advance. So we're not going to challenge that. So I raise this because I know this has been some concern of some people in the board. And, you know, quite frankly, the tax revenues that come from a project like this of the town, the IDA said without a pilot it'd be about 3.9 million to the town over 15 years. With a pilot, a 15-year pilot, it would be 2.6 million to the town. Without a pilot under your current way you do assessment. It may be more because your tax assessor might do a higher one, but the IDA just did a estimate. But they did it based on the investment. The investment that we will make is $256 million. That's the investment that's going to be made in Hyde Park. And the IDA estimated it based on what Belfield did. They did, I think, a 29% equalization rate of the cost of the investment. Yeah.
Mike, sorry to interrupt you. That pro forma sheet that was provided to us, that's a product of the IDA?
That was the IDA's estimate.
Thank you for letting me know.
That's IDA's estimate they did IDA estimated, like they did in Belfield, they took the cost and the investment of new construction, even though it's commercial, Belfield, and then they came up with it.
Yeah, that's this chart that you see.
Exactly. That was done by the IDA as an estimate. And what the IDA then says is town, is what they did in Belfield, and what they do for all their IDA, we'll do the step down, we'll do the percentages, but the town, you do your assessment. Mm-hmm. And that'll apply to that. And as I said before, we're happy, more than happy, and we've been trying to get this together, and I assume we'll do that very quickly, is work out a methodology and agree on a methodology. So with that said, I know it's been a long night. You've heard a lot, and I tend to get a little winded. I don't get paid by the word, but you know, sometimes my own head, I think I have to earn my.
Thank God.
I have to earn my way by talking a lot. So we would ask you to please tonight consider that the amendment is an issue that's before you, again, has nothing to do with the tax assessment, that if you could please vote on that tonight. Timing is very important to us, and let me explain why, and I don't want to be the developer that comes in here and goes, oh, you know, we've been at it for 2 years, but all of a sudden we need this tomorrow. We have what some of you may have heard is the Indiana bat window. You can only cut trees between October 31st and March 1st. So once we have what's called conditional site plan approval with the 42 conditions. We can't go back to the planning board and get final site plan approval until we resolve this issue. So we have to go back to the planning board, have another meeting with them to work out the new zoning, maybe even 2 meetings with them before they will issue us final site plan approval. It's at that time that we can start tree cutting. Then we put in our building permits. We have building permits ready for the vertical construction, but once you get final site plan approval, you can do site work. You can do tree cutting and so forth. We need to do the tree cutting before we do the vertical. So the plan was, they're meeting the planning board September 18th. We were hoping that there'd be a vote tonight on the amendment.
So the clear cutting that you did prior was for what?
That was, so the first part of it is we can start doing the DOT work to get the intersection in the road, because they want us as soon as possible to be able to bring construction in through that versus the shopping,
But the Indiana bat was the issue back then. I was
yes,
under the
we did that during the
interpretation
Indiana
that
bat.
you cleared that and down where you needed to
We didn't
be.
have enough time to go, oh, they wouldn't let us do the rest, John,
Who's we?
NRI, I'm sorry, the applicant, they wouldn't let us cut the rest,
The planning board wouldn't
the
let us.
planning board, until we got final site plan approved. They said you can do temporary, because then you can work on the DOT. Once we give you final site plan approval, we can immediately start on the DOT. Then we have to put in our building permits for the vertical. So we're gonna do the rest of the roads and then start the vertical in March. But we need to have the rest of the roads done so we can get, so it's a real deadline. And as far as the tax assessment and that, let's start tomorrow, tomorrow morning. Let's meet with the assessor and get going on that. We're as anxious to do that as you are. So you have a resolution before you. We would implore you to please consider voting on it tonight.
While we're looking that up, I'd like to open a public hearing. May I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Sarah, can you read the public hearing, please?
Notice of public hearing, Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park. Please take note that the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park shall hold a public hearing on Monday, September 9th, 2024 at 6:05 p.m. at the Hyde Park Town Hall, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, regarding the petition from NRI Hyde Park LLC to amend the Town of Hyde Park zoning code 108-34.1A to clarify the definition of transient occupancy. Any person desiring to be heard on said petition shall be provided an opportunity to do so at the public hearing. A copy of the petition is on file at the office of the town clerk during regular business hours. By the order of the town board, dated August 13th, 2024, Hyde Park, New York, Sarah Holman, town clerk.
Were there any public comments?
None.
Okay, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Okay,
Good question.
yeah, I'd like to have John say a few words, because he did not have a lot of time to review this, and some of the other ones we've met with and spoke to. We're not going to vote on it tonight, but as you heard, we are going to look for a special meeting, which could happen. We're going to try to discuss the 17th. It could be possible. I won't be here, so you'll probably get it. No,
17th
would be perfect for you.
would be perfect if you can't vote tonight.
I mean, we can have
greatly
council,
appreciate that.
we confer with council, he could be here, but,
Kyle, you think we could put everything together?
Between now and the 17th? Sure. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's convenient for the rest of the board members, someone from my office will be here. Won't be me.
I mean, to take care of all the issues that we got surrounding that?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. And maybe we can also entertain the dispensary as well at the
Yes.
time, get the resolution looked at
Yeah,
it.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Hey, marijuana and a resort. I mean, just,
You're both in the same
I'm not, well,
area.
I don't know, that's probably.
There's about a half a dozen jokes I thought of with that, but
I think I withdraw. I don't
Yeah,
think my
I'm-
clients would appreciate
I'm gonna avoid them.
withdrawing.
So, Mike, with that being said, I apologize, but there's, there's a little stuff that needs to be done behind the scenes to make sure everybody's comfortable. I didn't get a chance to look at a lot of stuff. I know where you're coming from. Looking at the calendar, if we did hold off for a couple weeks, I know time is of the essence, but I don't think it's the end of the world for you. And then we could get it wrapped up, like Kyle says, and move on.
If you do the 17th, that's still,
Get you in
and
the
I
window.
could tell the planning board that you're going to vote on the 17th before they meet, and I can hopefully plan accordingly with them and not lose. They have a month between their planning board meetings for October and September.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
that would
noticed
have caused real
Yeah.
prejudice. So that would,
He's happy.
yeah, I could tell.
what?
You're smiling, you're happy.
now, so we.
No, are we
Well,
all, we all in agreement to
I'm
that?
not super happy, but I appreciate the cooperation, and I understand John's situation.
The
for
board,
sure.
everybody else from the board feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Please let us know if there's anything more you need.
Oh, you'll get the call.
Information. I'm sure you will.
Thank you,
All right.
gentlemen.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to open a public hearing for the local law amending Chapter 103 of the Town of Hyde Park Code regarding towing of vehicles. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I'd like to have the police chief come up to the microphone and just give a little scenario first, and then we'll have a discussion with the public. Thanks for your patience, chief. I'm sorry it's been a busy night
That's
tonight.
okay, and you all know I can be long-winded, and I will keep it brief because it has been a long night. So we looked at the current tow law that was adopted in 2012, and there's some modifications that need to be done to make the law more enforceable. The fire department had weighed in on the use of electric vehicles that are involved in auto accidents, and the training they've been to, these vehicles cannot be housed inside of a building or close to other vehicles once they've been involved in the auto accident. So the way the town law was written was that auto accidents, electric vehicles had to be either in the building or in a fenced lot next to other vehicles. So we went through the whole law. We took this opportunity to go through the whole law. Deputy Supervisor Lombardi, myself, and Joe met several times and gone over it, and we're trying to close some gaps that are in there. The biggest concern for us was that not all the lots that were housing and towing impounded vehicles were fenced in, or the vehicles were not inside the building. And we actually had one of our vehicles that was impounded because it wasn't able to be on the road, stolen from one of the lots, from the tow lots. I'm not going to say who it is because we're not here to embarrass anyone. We're here to close some gaps and make things better. So we're really looking at the vehicles, adding a definition for a impounded vehicle. So an impounded vehicle is any vehicle that could not be driven because there's no insurance, no registration, suspended license. The vehicle is not allowed to be operated on the roadway. Someone who's been arrested for driving while intoxicated. These are all reasons why we would impound a vehicle. If it's a stolen vehicle, many times it's brought back to our police department first to be processed for any type of evidence that can be taken from the vehicle, then it's given back to the tow lot. So we wanted to make sure that we close some of these gaps. So because not all of the people out on our tow list have fenced-in lots or the ability to put vehicles inside that are impounded, we created a separate section of the law for impounded vehicles. And if you don't meet the requirement of having fenced-in yard or the vehicle is not kept inside the building, then you will not be allowed to be on that list to be able to tow impounded vehicles. So Last year, we had 147 vehicles that were towed from the scene of an auto accident, and we had 147 other vehicles that were towed because of either they were disabled, either they were a quick winch out because they ran off the road, or they were impounded. So we're looking at about 147 vehicles that are taken off the roadway by the police department and towed by local tow companies. So we're not here to try to regulate commerce. We're here to try to create something that's fair for the people that are a victim of a crime if a vehicle is stolen, how much they're charged, and try to help them not become a victim again. And we're trying to make sure anybody that drives through the town that has an auto accident, that the people that are towing their car have been vetted through the police department, they're permitted through the police department, and that they're safe and their vehicle's safe. Part of the application process is we make sure we know everybody who's driving the tow trucks, where the cars are going, that all of the tow trucks have the proper equipment to handle the accident scene, so it's safe for everyone in the community, not just the people that were involved in the auto accident. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just trying to close some loopholes that are in it before we're able to move forward with permitting people for next year.
Okay, and with that being said, we have, 10 permits?
Yeah, so back in 2012, when Eric Plilly was here and he worked with the previous town board, they created 10 permits because that's how many companies were on the actual list at the time when it was permitted, when the law was created. So we didn't add any extra spots to the list, but that is all up to the town board to regulate how many spots are on the list and how many we want, whether we want 5, we want 10, we want 12, whatever it is that the town sees fit to be able to create the list, yes.
So what we did is, as we started this process so that the public knows, we reached out to all the towing companies in the area that are on the list or actively holding a license, and took them down to the police department, asked everybody to come in, and myself and the chief met with all the tow truck people and basically got all their frustrations out and figured out where the problems were, what needed to be changed. We made numerous changes. We got some emails back that we made a couple changes as far as when somebody wanted to transfer or sell their business, so we had to change put some language in there. So now we're all about almost to the final round, and Tad Moss chimed in from the zoning administrator and said that she wanted to add a couple minor things to the code, which we are going to take a look at and then resubmit. I told the chief to make sure that when we do get the final draft, and as he's been doing right along, get it to all the tow truck guys, make sure they all read it so that we're not hiding anything, forcing anything down anybody's throat. And if there's any comments or concerns, get back to us. And if it takes us another month or two to get this enforced, we're in no big rush, just as long as everybody feels comfortable with it. So with that being said, I see Rocky here. Rocky, you want to come up to the microphone and give us?
You gotta open the public
I'm sorry.
I gotta take
Any
a
other
roll call
questions
vote
for
on
me
it.
before?
Oh, you might as well stay there just in
I'll
case
stay
we
here.
have any questions.
Come on over.
Was it open? Good.
We'll
I
make
had a
sure we
motion
have the
open,
mic
a
close
second.
here.
Will,
I got it.
clerk please take the roll call vote?
Yep. Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Perskowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye.
Can you read the public notice?
Will,
Yep.
Sarah, please read the public notice.
Yep. Notice of public hearing, Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park. Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park shall hold a public hearing on Monday, September 9th, 2024 at 6:05 p.m. at the Hyde Park Town Hall, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, on the proposed adoption of Local Law Number E of 2024 entitled Amendment to the Town Law, Section 103, Towing. Any person desiring to be heard on said local law shall be provided an opportunity to do so at the public hearing. A copy of the proposed local law is on file at the office of the town clerk during regular business hours. By the order of the town board, dated August 23rd, 2024, Hyde Park, New York, Sarah Holman, town clerk.
Okay. Were there any public comments to the town?
My name's Rocky Runza, owner of Autocraft Auto Body in Hyde Park.
Okay.
And a few things right from the beginning, back in 2012, a lot of people did not meet the criteria of separate businesses. None of that was enforced. It says that they need to be a town business. I think their DBA should be in the town. There's a few places that just have a fenced-in lot. They don't hold their records there. They don't have an office. They don't have any employees there. You know, these people have businesses in other towns where we can't go there, but yet Hyde Park seems to let them in, and it's hurting my business. Okay, there's other shops that are on this tow list twice, and they bring the cars back to the same business. They're not supposed to do that, but I've complained since day one, and really nothing's happened. And also, I don't understand how the sheriffs and when the state police handle an accident, how this tow law can be enforced.
I'm not sure what you mean by when the state police and sheriff handle.
Well, you're not there, so if an ordinance is being broken, how is it enforced?
So it's enforced by it's reported back to the sheriff's office or the state police, because it is a town law. So it's a law that can be enforced, and then they are reported back to the town board, myself through the town board, and that's how the complaints are handled. So you're speaking of reference to businesses that showed all the documentation to meet the criteria to be put back on the list in 2012 when it was established by the previous administration, and now they're not meeting that criteria. But we're not able to go out and enforce things if we haven't inspected it and we haven't done it. We've dropped the ball on the police department's end of making sure that they were inspected every year. And I'll admit that it wasn't myself, but it was our department had dropped the ball as far as making sure all the criteria that was in the law was met. That's why we're opening this up now, and we're going to correct it once and for all. So the final determination of who's placed on the list will be done by the town board, as per the town law.
Yeah, but that's not really my complaint. My complaint is right from the beginning, it wasn't enforced, and I had numerous emails, photos, and nothing was ever done.
Because how can you enforce something that someone was not you're stating that someone was towing vehicles to areas that were not on their permit or their application. If they didn't have an application that was updated, how can you enforce something that wasn't updated? So when we realized that this gap was there and the permits and applications were not submitted and checked on, I approached Deputy Supervisor Lombardi, and we wanted to close all of these gaps at once because we didn't want to continuously put people through application processes where there's going to be fees, because we're not looking to make money off of fees, right? So we're trying to close the gaps now, and that's what we're doing with this.
So what's going to be the definition of a town of Hyde Park business?
Did you get your copy hand delivered to you by the police department last week? Your solid copy?
He got a copy.
It was emailed not last, I don't know when, but yeah.
You got the final.
But all it says is town, in other words, I'm thinking that should be, laid out a little bit better. Their DBA registered in the county should be in Hyde Park.
Well, here's the problem that we have with 10 permittees. When we start taking the applications and going through the process again, of course we start with all the local ones. You know that the list is going to be filled and ain't going to exceed 10. The problem that we had prior that you're trying to address, and I completely agree with you, but you keep reiterating 2012. We're in 2024 here. We're 12 years later. We're here because you're one of the reasons that came to us to correct the problem.
Yeah.
So my best advice to you is you got the hard copy, and you're going to get the final hard copy before we vote on it. Anything that you think.
All right, so send you an email.
Send me an email with it, because I had a couple of people do that. And it has to be, basically, we get it, me and the chief read it, see if it makes sense. We're not here to hurt anybody. We're here to try to clean up the mess. Now, we know that there was a couple people that were on there twice, that they sold their property and this and that. Once we start this new program and initiate it, the chief is going to start from square one, going back out and basically have his crew physically inspect each location before a permit is issued again. So hopefully we can clean up as we go.
Okay.
On the other hand, we have been talking to the chief, and we voiced your concerns. That same with dispatch. The people in his dispatch office are going to be educated a little bit more about the list and how it works, and because we had some complaints with that.
Mhm.
On the other hand, as far as the tow truck guys, we are trying to make it so we are so transparent for you guys and I told them, if they don't, Chief, if you don't have emails, bring this document to them and hand deliver it to them.
Mhm.
Because I don't want anybody to come back later and say that they didn't get it or they weren't happy with it.
Mhm.
Above and beyond, we're going to continue the public comment session after tonight, after we're done.
Okay.
And we're going to continue it for another month because Tad has some minor changes to make. And if you have an opportunity to
Okay.
check, and then we're going to send an email out to everybody one more time and say, hey, guys, before the party's over,
Mhm.
any more last comments?
All right.
So I think we're gonna get to where we need to be with what your concerns are. I
Okay.
really do. And I appreciate your
All right.
patience.
Chief, I had a quick question for you. If you have a certain number of units that are on, and they're at a different call, and another agency shows up, say the SO or the state police, are they going to adhere to the same standards here in Hyde Park and work off that list of 10 that your department
we
uses?
have had a handshake agreement with the state police and the sheriff's office that when they need a tow, like tonight, it occurred tonight, there was a sheriff's office had a motorcycle accident on Route 9. We called for a tow off of our list, and actually Rocky's the one who towed it off of our list.
Well,
So,
actually, they put me back.
but they are supposed to utilize us.
Okay.
I can't regulate the state police or the
Right.
sheriff's office,
Right.
and I'll say probably 70% of the time.
They do for the
80%
most
of
part
time,
follow up. They call.
It does.
Okay.
There's always, exigent circumstances where something else is done and another tow is used, but generally, any tow that happens in the town of Hyde Park will be utilizing our list.
All right. Thank you.
And once we're done with this, we're going to meet with the state police and sheriff's office and go over the changes in the law, and we're going to conduct a training with all of our staff on the new sections of the law that are there and make sure that we're all in compliance, because we've had such turnover in staff, and then we have so many new members of the department. We want to make sure everyone's on board with the same procedure, but we didn't want to start a procedure and start charging application fees and going out and doing inspections until we made sure that the law was what we wanted it to be, right? So it costs time. I have to send a detective or a lieutenant out to inspect all of these businesses, take pictures of every truck, run data on every truck driver, make sure all the insurance is there. It's very time consuming to do, and that's why we do it on a yearly basis. Because I did it.
And there's fees established with them,
Right.
of course.
So we don't want to keep
Inspection
charging
fee,
people
too.
fees for things that we can't enforce because the law doesn't afford that.
And is there any stipulation where the 10 applicants that are assigned in Hyde Park have like an update that they automatically do at the end of the year to be reissued? Is
Well,
it
every year they'll have to apply again. So basically, it's the same application because most of the time when people don't change.
so if
maybe
there's
the
any
driver
change to the
changes or-
business, they'll put that on the
Yeah,
application?
if they get a new truck,
Okay.
then they'll come to us and we'll update it. When I did it, I took photos of the lots, I took photos of the trucks, I took copies of driver's license. We do a criminal check to make sure that none of the drivers are registered sex offenders. We try to do everything we can to ensure that the community's safe, the public's safe, and also it helps protect the tow operators.
Thank you.
We're not here to limit commerce. We're not here to make money for tow companies. We're here to provide a service. And if the town is saying these people are permitted and these people are on our list, you're going to take on some kind of responsibility, I'm sure, Kyle. If something does occur, that the town's going to take on that liability, and we want to limit that liability by ensuring that everyone is meeting the same criteria across the board. And hopefully that will take care of some of the issues that Rocky brought up tonight.
Thank you.
Anything else you got, Rock?
Oh, I guess just how about like out-of-town trucks? Like are they
Well, we have-
susceptible to the violations?
Well, we have a list, and I.
No, but if other guys, we can't go and other guys show up, that.
Yeah, well, as you know how this initiated, we found out one guy was taking the vehicles and bringing them somewhere where they
Yeah.
weren't supposed to be.
That too.
Hopefully, this will flush a lot of that out.
Mhm.
Listen, we know this ain't gonna solve the world's problems,
Yep.
but it's a lot better than what we had to start with.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you, pal.
And there's no law that's going to be perfect,
Mhm.
but we're trying to close the
Yep.
loopholes that we've observed, and that's why we've reached out, and I've spoken to every tow truck operator in the town. It's on the list several times, and I make sure that as Deputy Supervisor Lombardi said, we're being as transparent as possible. And every time we have a revision, we try to make sure we get it to you, whether we email it to you, you come pick it up, we drop it off to you, because you have the most experience in this business where we don't. You know, we don't have that experience. So we're trying to lean on you who do this business every day to try to help us create a law that, you know, helps everyone.
Feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to leave the public hearing open until such time as all the kinks are worked out and you guys have
Yeah, we're going to continue it to next
Fine.
month, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. See you next month.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Rock, thank
All
you,
right,
Chief.
thank you.
Okay. Everyone should remove Resolution 19 from the packet,
Now, I leave off here, I got so much shit on.
just so you know when you get to it then. Does anybody have any conflict of interest on any of the resolutions tonight?
No.
No? Okay. Go ahead, Mark.
Resolution 99-1 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the resignation of part-time police assistant Alyssa Ridgway.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Priscowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-2 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the resignation of part-time police assistant Lauren Kohler.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Priscowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-3 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the retirement of the Town of Hyde Park Building Inspector Don Westermeyer.
May I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Priscowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Don has been with the town, I think the longest, very, very, very up on all the codes. He's been an asset to the town. He's going through a pretty tough time right now, so unfortunately, we have to accept this resignation. Thank you.
Resolution 99-4 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to acknowledge the resignation of Michael Dupree as the chairman of the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Priscowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Again, this resignation comes with a heavy heart. Michael's been here for 18 years, is it now?
Yeah.
And extremely smart and dedicated a tremendous amount of time to do what he did for the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board. Next.
Resolution 99-5 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve vacation carryover for Town of Hyde Park zoning administrator Kathleen Moss.
May I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Priscowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 99-6 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Board to approve vacation carryover for Town of Hyde Park Zoning Board of Appeals Secretary Kathleen Hope.
May I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Priscowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 99-7 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to accept local laws in their final form by email.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-8 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to establish electronic medium as the official record.
May I have a second, please?
Second?
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-9 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Clerk to issue hawking and peddling license to Jesus Martinez of Trinity Solar LLC.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-10 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve Police Sergeants Michael Stallone and Daniel Ferrara to attend the Sports and Special Events Incident Management Training on September 25th and September 26th, 2024, at the Dutchess County Department of Emergency Response in Poughkeepsie, New York.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-11 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve Sergeant Michael Stallone and Detective Kristen McGaul to attend a basic law enforcement bicycle patrol course on September 30th through October 4th, 2024 at the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-12, 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve police officers Jonah Towney and Stephen Riley to attend the Youth and Police Initiative Training on October 7th through October 14th, 2024, at the Faith Assembly of God in Poughkeepsie, New York.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-13 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve police dispatcher Derek Byrne to attend the New World Police Software Training on October 16th and 17th, 2024 at the Tyler Technologies office in Latham, New York.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-14 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve Police Sergeant Alec Brandow to attend the New York State Canine Association's annual Work Dog Seminar on September 23rd through September 27th, 2024, located at the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Canine Training Facility.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-15 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve payment of title and recording fees associated with the purchase and sale contract for acquisition of certain property from the Roosevelt Fire District.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-16 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to receive and adopt the Town of Hyde Park Natural Resources Inventory, NRI, completed May 2022.
May I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wasquita.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye, motion carried.
Resolution 99-17 of 2024, resolution authorizing the release of the balance of escrow for completed projects that were reviewed by the Town of Hyde Park zoning administrator.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 99-18 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to accept a donation from Roundout Savings Bank to be utilized for the Town of Hyde Park's 2024 4th of July Parade.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 99-20 of 2024, resolution the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to authorize naming the private road of Dutchess County Department of Emergency Response.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 99-21 of 2024, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Building Inspector to notify property owners of 18 South Drive and 15 Raven Road of a violation of Chapter 84 of the Hyde Park Code and setting a public hearing for the purpose of determining whether the condition has been remedied, and if not, whether the town will enter upon the property to remedy the condition.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Persikowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried. All right. Does anybody have any new or old business?
Got a couple of things floating here. Anybody else got anything else first?
Okay.
Okay, a couple quick things. School's open, so we got to be careful. The school buses are on the road. We got kids out near the intersection, so please be careful. Just a friendly reminder that the September 11th event at the Tegmeyer Memorial at Hackett Hill this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. The supervisor is going to be there, one of the guest speakers. Please, as you pull in, people are going to direct your cars to park in the lawn areas, and anybody that's handicapped or senior or in a wheelchair or whatever can pull right up to the memorial site. Now that we have all brand new blacktop down in the front, they could park there and have accessibility. Howie Fisher just let me know that Mill Cross Road over there on Route 9, where the people have been complaining about the rough patch of road, he's caught up on all his improvements, so he is going to be doing some drainage work there and some capital improvements in the next week or so, which includes about 3 catch basins and 340 linear feet of pipe and some rock chipping. So if people can use caution and be patient while the work is going on, that'd be greatly appreciated. Also, we just got done doing a major drainage capital improvement project with the highway department over on Putnam Road. There's been 4 or 5 houses that flood every year. Howie and his crew went down there and set a basin and approximately 260 feet of pipe to eliminate that situation. So I thank the highway crew for everything that they did. Overall, this year we did, dollar-wise, we spent $796,000, and we did 3.5 miles of road, which is a phenomenal task for the board. And I thank the supervisor for okaying the additional funds. Out of that $796,000, $444,000 of that dollars was out of our CHIPS fund. So that's not taxpayers' monies that came from the state and the federal government. In the last 7 years, we paved 23 miles of road. We have a total of 96 miles of road in the town. I know people are frustrated with the ways the roads are, but in the past, in the prior administrations, the roads have never been taken care of with, as far as building infrastructure before paving them. And now, since we're doing the infrastructure and getting our drainage in, we're going to see a lot of capital improvements done to collect a lot of the low-lying and flooding areas that this board promised everybody that we were going to do. So we're on a good path for that. Just want to give a shout out to Fitzgerald Landscaping. I got 2 emails from people that have grave sites over on the Union Cemetery that asked him to go above and beyond, trimming some branches and doing a little basic cleanup, which he did, and I got some positive feedback from that. We are in the process of drafting up another new law because we have some difficulties with people putting fences out on the edge of the right-of-way or on blind curves or near intersections that is obstructing cars from pulling out. We sent some non-compliance or violation letters to these property owners, and of course, they're non-compliant, so we are in the process of redoing the law that basically states that you can't put any fencing, any obstructions, any landscaping, rocks, whatever, blocking site visibility. So Joe from Vanderwater is working with us to fine tune that a little bit so that we have a better mechanism to go after these people when they put a fence up and block site visibility. Another thing that we're having problems with all the heavy rains and the windstorms, we're getting a lot of trees that are coming down over the road, and we're paying a lot of time for highway department overtime to come out and cut these trees. Most of these trees are falling from private property, basically due to people not maintaining the trees, or they're infested or dead. And they said, well, it's not near my house, I'm not going to worry about it. And the storm comes along, and there it goes, it blocks the road, and we have to send a crew out. So we're taking a look at how we could draft up some type of language to prevent a lot of this stuff, and maybe a little better property maintenance procedures on people that don't take care of their property. Another thing that we've been having a extreme problem with is people dumping debris and materials and wood and brush and couches on the side of the road. We just caught somebody down on South Drive dumping numerous things of brush, and one of the neighbors caught it on a ring camera, and we contacted him and told him that it needs to be cleaned up and it won't be tolerated. So we gave him 10 days to clean the mess up, and if it isn't cleaned up, we are going to pursue action against him. Another thing is, next Saturday, this coming Saturday at Hackett Hill, we got our Community Day event. There's going to be rides and stuff for the kids to do. There's going to be food trucks there. The town board will be there if anybody wants to stop by and ask any questions or have any concerns. So it'll be a great day to bring the kids out and say hello to us. And that's all I got.
Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to note that we received another grant, which was $756,000?
854,000.
854,000.
854.
For
The pool.
To upgrade Hackett Hill Pool, which is a wonder it's still open. The Department of Labor has given us a lot of rope on that one. But we're going to upgrade the pool, change the filtration systems, work on refabbing the locker rooms, the pool house, and this is going to be pretty big next year for a project. Okay, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, with zero taxpayer dollars again.
No taxpayer dollars again.
Millennium Strategies came through with the grants and stuff that they've done for us. It's been phenomenal. We're on a good run here.
Millennium has done a great job, paid for himself for the next 10 years, maybe more. Okay, anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Get home safe.